Hello and welcome to Pisces Moon Astrology. I'm your astrologer, Kate Leonard, and I'm excited to explore the stars with you. Hi everyone. Welcome to the week of March 1st through March 7th. And it's another eclipse week. So it's big. I want to make a couple of quick announcements and then we will get into it. I am doing the sign by sign again because I've been getting really good feedback on that. Let me know if you agree or disagree that I should keep it going this way. But so far, most people are saying they like it. So first, I'm dividing up. I used to basically do the same content on the podcast and on the Substack, basically giving you the option to read it or listen to it. But I've decided that that's not really very efficient. So what I'm doing is the sign by sign here, which is a little dip into the general energy for whatever event I'm looking at. And then over on Substack, I'm doing the deep dive. So if you want to understand the energy of the week more, at a deeper level, not just the quick few minutes of how it's going to hit your rising sun or moon sign most, go on over to Substack. Also, it's the best place to talk with me because you can just leave comments there and I get back to you. I promise I do. Yeah, everything's free. It's always going to be free, so don't worry. And it does ask you to put your email in, but I swear to you, I don't have time to spam anyone. I think that's it. I think that's all I wanted to say. So let's get into this week. So this is the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. That's what I'm going to go sign by sign about. But before we do that, I always want to give you the heads up so that you can explore, if you want to, some of the other really, really big energies. And we've got really, really big energies this week. It's just nothing's quite as big as an eclipse. All right. So on March 4th, we've got Venus in Pisces making a sextile to Uranus in Taurus. This is a nice aspect, but it's that one that it's not going to beat you over the head. You've got to grab it if you want it. And I'm calling this one crazy love or rebel love or something like that. On the 5th, we've got the sun making a beautiful trine to, the sun is in Pisces, making a trine to Jupiter in Cancer. And y'all, this is like fame. This is blessings and the light shining on you. And this is really just think fame, even if you're not like an actress or something like that. But think about having the spotlight on you at a time when you're just being infused with Jupiter's blessings. It's fantastic. On the 7th, we've got two things going on. Mercury retrograde is going to run into the sun. That's a kazimi. So as part of this retrograde story, this is a period of time when we're not going to all the way see what's going on exactly, but we will be doing some kind of a Mercury reboot. What we don't need as far as the way we communicate, written projects or any kind of projects that involve communication, the way we think, long-held beliefs, things like that. Old stuff is going to get burnt away so that we can be reborn and have new, fresh ideas. But it will have something to do with the stuff that's up during this retrograde. And then also on the 7th is Venus now in Aries because she's moving into Aries on the 6th, making a conjunction, so holding hands with Neptune. I know, I can hear it already, but I don't like Neptune. I don't like Neptune. And I especially don't like Neptune with Venus like this, especially not right there with Saturn and in Aries, which is kind of a brat. So I think there's going to be some rose-colored glasses stuff. Could be that lies are exposed. We have to see something more clearly, or it might be that we're lying to ourselves. We're putting on the rose-colored glasses. Does that make sense? Yeah, I don't love it. I don't love it. Fortunately, it's pretty quick, but the very next day she's going to run into Saturn, who's going to bring us back down to Earth, set those boundaries, and make us see things clearly. So honestly, I think this is a really quick transit, but I don't love the seventh in Venus kinds of things. All right? I want to give you some basic information about the total lunar eclipse in Virgo. So this is happening, at least in my time zone, on March 3rd. And this is a full moon. So eclipses happen during full or new moons. The last one that we just had in February was a new moon eclipse. That was a solar eclipse. Now we're in a total lunar eclipse. So think of this one as a full moon on steroids, okay? And what we're looking at is the Virgo area. We're looking at the Virgo Pisces axis because, of course, eclipses come in pairs and in series. And so the goal is to find balance between these two houses. Virgo is the concrete, is the detail-oriented, the administrator, right? Taking care of the outer world, and in fact is very much known for being of service, also known for caring about health. So it's the body over the spirit. It's the outer world over the inner world. All that other stuff is Pisces. And obviously we're always looking for a balance. We're not supposed to give up our body or our spirit. We're not supposed to, well, at least most of us are not supposed to, go find a mountaintop and be a hermit who meditates, right? We are supposed to tend to our outer worlds as well. And this eclipse is going to have us looking at things like being of service, paying close attention to our physical health. This eclipse is really going to require us to get practical. We're going to need to ask ourselves and really examine our lives to look for where have we just not been doing the day-to-day work? Where have we been sort of head in the clouds? And it's fine. Again, an axis is an axis. We're supposed to find balance. I'm not saying don't dream. I'm not saying don't have grand visions and all of that stuff. I am certainly never going to tell anyone not to listen to their emotions, their intuitions. Hey, I'm Pisces moon. Stop it. I'm never going to say that. But we can't only do that. We have to get practical. If you want to make your dream come true, what are you doing as far as organizing your schedule? What are you doing as far as getting the day-to-day work done? You want to be promoted at work, or you want to get that creative project out, or you want to find a life partner. What are you doing on the day-to-day? How are you doing the work that gets you there? Even the life partner thing, and people sometimes don't apply this kind of thinking to things like finding a partner, but yeah, are you getting out and about? Are you going where people can meet you? So whatever it is, this eclipse is saying it is time to get down to the day-to-day. All right. Now, this energy is not one day, y'all. It's going to be with us for at least a couple of weeks after this eclipse. And then remember, in the fall, we get another eclipse series, right? So this is not the time that, like today, all of a sudden, boom, I'm going to get my day-to-day stuff sorted out. Okay, so don't look at it that way. You've got some time to do this, but this is the one about practicality. Let's get into the signs. Now remember, you are your rising sign. So the segment that's going to be the most accurate for you is going to be the one based on your rising sign. If you don't know it, listen for your sun sign. And the moon sign generally brings a more sort of internal reality, a more subjective kind of message. So if you want the most comprehensive, listen to all three. But if you're going to pick one, listen to your rising sign, okay? And as always, we are going to start with Aries. Aries, for you, the moon, because of course it's a full moon, the sun is in your 12th, the moon is in your 6th, and that's what we're looking at. It's interesting because Virgo is a sign of health, physical health. A lot of people with Virgo 6th are healthcare workers. Anyway, this moon, which is all about practicality and health and getting practical with your health goals, it's hitting you in the 6th house of health and day-to-day routines, okay? So you've got a double whammy. I really advise you to get very, very practical. How do you want your day-to-day life structured? How do you want your work days structured? And for this one especially, how do you need to rethink your health routines? Are you really working out enough? Does that workout work for you still? Maybe you need to change it up some, your diet, all of that kind of stuff. But the other one that fits in here too is how can you be of service? How can you add into your routine some sense of what you're offering to the world? And that's going to be true for most of the signs. That piece is in it. But this is about structuring those kind of goals into your day-to-day routine. Make sense? All right. For Taurus, this is happening in your 5th house of children, romance, leisure time, and creativity. So this is really about getting practical about all of those things. Are you a writer? A lot of writers listen to me for obvious reasons. So what's your writing routine like? Do you need to get more dedicated to it? Do you need to switch it up? Think about the details about that. That would apply for any kind of creative person, right? But the other thing is, if you have children or work with children, how do you need to get more practical in that area of life? Now, here's the one I find interesting. What about romance and sex? It's kind of weird to think about, getting all detail oriented about those, but maybe you need to, right? Do you need to schedule in an extra date night or maybe one date night at least? Do you need to get it into your very booked calendar that you and your partner need some time for romance, sex, fun? Are you letting those things slide because literally your agenda's too booked up? So this is about getting practical about it, but it could also be, getting practical and having those conversations about how you see your relationship and how you'd like to see it and changes that might need to be made, those kind of things. But I think it's more the like, hey, baby, let's do every other Friday night a stay in bed night or something like that, a stay in bed evening, you know what I mean? So Gemini, this is happening in home and family. This is about how's the house looking these days? Is it a mess? You need to organize. Is it time to declutter? Oh my gosh, Geminis, this is the declutter. It's the moon is right by the south node, letting go of things, right? And it's in home and family. You might need to kick out some family members. Who knows? I don't know what you need to declutter. This is like spring cleaning on steroids, but it's with the idea of making your home more balanced and more what you need it to be and more comfortable. But you get to that comfort through this reorganization, decluttering, restructuring something, okay? This is also another one of those eclipses that some people will be moving or deciding to move around this time. That's certainly a way to get things you have to get organized in the home and family area. All right, for Cancer, this is happening in your third house of siblings, communication, and local community. And because of the service aspect of this eclipse, I am really thinking that this is about who are you in your community. Define community as you will, but who are you? How do you show up? Do you need to get more organized? Do you want to take on a leadership role at your community council or your school board or your whatever it is? It could have to do, writing and communication is third house. So it could have to do with sort of getting more serious about what your message is. What information are you trying to communicate, and how are you doing that? How are you communicating your ideas? Do you need to put some thought into that and be a little bit more mindful about the message that you're trying to get out there? But I really think this one is going to have a lot to do with service. All right. And for Leo, this is in your second house, and that is straight up about money. You are going to be making a new budget, getting very realistic about your finances, all of that kind of stuff. With the South Node right there, this is definitely going to have to do with reducing debt, all of that kind of stuff, and really budgeting, right? Like, how do I need to budget? It also could be changing how you make your money. You may decide that what you're doing right now is really not aligned, and you need to get really practical about finding that next gig. For Virgo, this is in your first house. This is all about getting practical with you, whatever that means. This is about seeing yourself differently. It's about putting thought into finding that balance. For you, this is really a little different than for anybody else. Finding that balance between brain and soul. You guys are already super good about being the administrators, right? That's already a thing you do. So this is going to have to do with really looking at your self-definition and saying, is it balanced? Am I being true to body and soul? This is another one where there may be all kinds of like actual physical changes, hair changes, clothing styles, things like that, because you decide that things aren't matching up quite right. This also could be just really looking at how you want to spend more conscious thought on your own personal needs. For Libra, this is in your 12th house. So this is getting very, very serious about those 12th house issues. They have a lot to do with therapy, mental health, all of that kind of thing. You may be deciding that you need to switch the kind of therapy you're doing or get back into therapy or maybe even quit therapy. I don't know. But those kind of mental health treatment things come up a lot with Virgo 12th. The other thing is, though, this is about putting some practical thought into anything you're working on behind the scenes. Do you have projects that you're working on that you need to get organized? So anything you're doing behind the scenes like that, like you've got a day job, but you're working on getting your, YouTube channel up and running. This is about getting the schedule together, writing the scripts, researching the equipment you need, and all of that kind of thing, right? So really getting serious about the details in that 12th house area. Also, maybe getting alone time, retreat time onto your calendar. Okay, Scorpio, this is happening in your 11th house of friends and group identity. This is your tribe. This is another one where honestly, I think a lot of you are going to be doing community service kinds of things, right? Like, hey, me and my friends who do astrology, we're going to go do a fundraiser. And we're going to donate our time to a worthy cause. Or we all work in the health profession and we're going to go volunteer at the free clinic. It could be anything like that where you're either joining a group that is of service or your little tribe and you will be going out and volunteering for fundraising and things like that. This is also one that I've seen witchy people. So the rest of you who aren't witchy, just ignore me for a minute. But you witchy people, this is sometimes when the covens get together and start doing collective action. Okay, anyway, so this is service of some kind, and it's also details about your friend group, making sure you're scheduling enough time together and really taking care of each other in a thoughtful way. Sagittarius. This one is big for you. This is career. And so this has to do with really getting very detail oriented in your career. Now, this could have to do with a project you're working on, but it's usually something bigger than that during an eclipse, right? This is really taking care of the details. Am I working the way I want to be working? Am I making the money I want to make? Am I doing what it takes to climb the ladder? Do I feel like my work is meaningful? Because remember that service piece. We don't all have to go out and be doctors and nurses and nuns or something. But in this case, this eclipse is going to ask you to question whether your work is meaningful. Are you contributing in a good way to society? And is it fulfilling to you? And if not, what details, what structure do you need to look at and change in order to get it where you want it to be? Make sense? All right. Capricorn, this is happening in your 9th house. This is spirituality, higher education, publishing. So this is just about putting detailed thought, detailed effort into any of those issues. If this is coming up for you spiritually, you may find that what you're wanting is to be more connected with people, but also that you want an organization. And I don't mean you have to go join the little church of the whatever down on the corner of your block. I just mean you might, you might want to join an actual religion or spiritual community of some kind. That is totally possible. But it could also just be identifying, the like-minded people that you can get together and talk spirituality with, study the tarot, whatever it is, whatever your spirituality is, but doing it or practicing in a more organized kind of way. The other thing is, this is a big time when people are going to be deciding to go back to school, take workshops, get certified, get higher degrees or first degrees, depending on where you're at in that whole thing. And it's also a time when some people are going to be dropping out of those things, when it's kind of like, okay, I'm done with the study. I need to step into that next realm where I'm the teacher, I'm the doer, where I use that learning that I've done. If you are anybody working in the field of publishing, now remember, the ancients, it was publishing, but for us, that means any kind of content that you bring out to the public. It could be a book, but it could be a YouTube channel, a podcast, a Substack, you name it. You might need to get organized and you might need to become, put on your administrative hat and really see how you need to focus more on that aspect of what you're doing. All right, Aquarius, this is happening in your 8th house of joint finances. So this is another one where you're going to be looking at your budget. You're going to be looking at your portfolio. You're going to be looking at, your mortgage interest rate, tax returns, any of that stuff that is you and the bank own it, or, you're going to be looking at your debt. And definitely setting some kinds of schedules or working on the details of how to get out of debt. This could also be restructuring money that where you and a spouse or partner or a business investor or whatever like pool their funds and doing some of the admin around that and restructuring it. But the 8th house is also fear and trauma. And I think this is another sign, Aquarius. I think you're one who's going to be kind of looking at, what do I need to do? I want to get serious about letting go of old wounds, old trauma, old fears. I need to get a program going. I don't want to hide from these things anymore. I don't want to delay it. Yes, it's going to be difficult, and I'm just going to do it and clear this stuff out as best I can. All right. And Pisces, this is happening in your 7th house of primary partnerships. We call it the marriage house a lot, but it's really all important one-on-one relationships. So it could be a doctor, a business partner. It could be anybody who, if they're super important to you, right? But in general, this is our primary love relationship. And you're going to be getting down to business with it. When are we getting married? What are we doing? Are we moving? What's our plan? Are we planning children? I have to say, I didn't mention it before, but this eclipse is making a nice sextile to Jupiter. So Jupiter falls in your house of children. This is a time when a lot of Pisces are going to be getting pregnant, adding to their family in some way, or at least making the decisions around those issues. But this is really a time of looking really practically at your relationship and deciding, what do we want this to be? Now, I will tell you right now, a lot of people are going to decide to take it to the next level. A lot of people are going to add children because they're going to get pregnant because of that Jupiter. But there are going to be some breakups during this time. So I'm just letting you know, there are going to be some breakups in your sign group, right? Because it's practical, because you look at it with clear eyes and you go, you know what? There is no amount of administrative work I can do that's going to get this relationship where it needs to be. So what I want to say to you all, because I always hate delivering that message, but if you're one of those people, just know this is fated. The nodes are involved. An eclipse is involved. If that's what you truly feel needs to be done, it is the right thing, and you'll be glad you did it. Plus, there won't be a whole lot of way around it anyway, so you might as well be glad you did it. All right? So everybody, this is a big one. This eclipse series has been going on since 2024, so you will recognize this energy. We're getting towards the end of this series, but yeah, we've still got work to do balancing the Virgo Pisces axes. All right, so we're going to all go put our administrator hats on. If you want a deep dive with a little bit more detail to it, go over to Substack and go over there anyway and just say hi. Thank you so much for being here. Please like and share and leave a good rating. Do all of that kind of stuff. It helps the podcast get out to other people. And I really just want to share the information. All right. So thank you. I appreciate you all. And I'm wishing you, I don't know, a productive, I don't even know what to say with a Virgo eclipse. I'm wishing you a productive week. And remember, it's going to go on for a couple of weeks. So with all of that said, I hope it was helpful. And for now, go out and seize the energies of the stars. This is my wish for you always, and I will see you on the other side of the eclipse. Bye.